Hi everyone, it's CajunDIYDiva, and today we are going to paint a canvas beach bag. So I have right here a rough drawing of what I want to paint, just kind of really rough, and we're going to paint it right on this canvas, just the natural canvas beach bag that you can get from any one of the craft stores. This came in a pack of 3 for around, I don't know, $7, something like that. Now inside of it I put a piece of cardboard, not so the paint won't bleed through to the other side. I'm just using regular acrylic paints for this. You know, if you get acrylic paints on your clothes and you don't wash it off right away, that paint is going to stay there, so I figured it'll work good on an acrylic bag. So the first thing I've done is I've drawn a little line here, the sand line. So that's the land line, and then here's a horizon line. That's where the water meets the sky. So that's all I've drawn in so far, and I'm going to start painting the background before we do anything else. So first thing I'm going to do is mix up some colors. So I've got some yellow ochre and some white, and I'm going to blend together and try to come up with a sand color. And I'm also going to put in a tiny little bit of raw umber, which is kind of a brown color, and I'm working on a sand color. So my paint is a little thick, so I'm going to be dipping my brush in my water and then dipping it in my paint as I blend it to make the paint go on more smoothly, because this is, you know, when you buy a canvas, it's already primed for you. This is unprimed, so it's going to kind of soak up all of the paint. So I'm just going to keep filling in. Now, and I'm also not going to paint this as intensely as I would a canvas painting on a stretched canvas. I'm going to be a little bit looser about it, and I'm not going to worry about the entire canvas being covered with paint. So there's my rough painting in, and again, this was yellow ochre with white and a little bit of raw umber to make this color. And now I'm just going to add a little more white here and there, just to give it like some highlights in the sand. And I'm just kind of blending it in to the yellow ochre. And that's about good enough. Let me just bring it up a little bit right there, close to the water line, and kind of define that line a little bit more. And I'm holding my brush away from the canvas. I'm not pressing down hard on the canvas bag, because I don't want this bag to be saturated with paint. I'm painting it very lightly. Okay, so now I'm going to switch to the sky color, and for the sky I'm going to start out with cobalt blue. Let me just squeeze out a little bit of that on my palette. And I want the sky to be much lighter than the water, so I'm going to add quite a bit of white to my cobalt blue and add quite a bit of water to loosen up the paint. And I'm just going to paint on very loosely the cobalt blue. And I don't feel the need to go to the edges with with this paint. I'm going to loosen it up a little bit more with some more water. The canvas bag is really drinking in the paint. It's really soaking it in. If I was using a regular stretched canvas that you buy at the store right now, I would have this covered already. But since it's an unprimed canvas bag, it's not taking, it's drinking up the paint instead of making it look nice and even. Okay, so now I'm going to dip my brush in white. I'm not cleaning it. I'm just going to dip it right in white. And I'm going to add some little smudges for clouds. Just in a random pattern. And I'm not thinning this out. I'm not thinning this white out to do this. And clouds are just about the easiest thing you can paint. And it looks good with it not being totally, you know, it's kind of mixing with the blue paint a little bit. It kind of goes with it. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do on the sky. Now, for the water, I have some cerulean blue, which is more of a, almost a turquoise color. And I think it's going to give that really sea color look to it. And I'm going to blend it a little bit with, I'm going to come back with some of the cerulean. I'm kind of going to blend them together a little bit, and I'm going to mix in a little bit of white. And like I did before, I'm going to add some water to the paint mixture. And I'm just going to start brushing that on. I'm continuing to mix it with some water to loosen it up a little bit. If you want to paint faster, you can use, oh, look at that. I made a boo-boo. Well, we'll just make that work. Got to be careful when you're painting that you don't drip. And I'm painting it, I put it on an easel, but normally I would probably do this flat, on a flat surface, so that I wouldn't get any drips like that. But we're just going to make that little drip work for us. It's going to be as if it was originally part of the painting, a planned part. Sometimes we call those happy accidents. And we're just going to make it work for us. Now I mixed a little bit just now of the cerulean, the sky blue I used, the cobalt blue, in right there, because I want to give the sea some dimension. I want it to have darks and lights. I'm also going to add some white, but I'm going to blend it more than I did with the way the clouds are. It's going to blend in more to the blue. And we'll just make this part kind of blend in. When I teach classes, I always try to show my students how to fix things when you have an accident happen. And this is one of those times. And I could just paint over it, come back and paint the sand color over it, and I may just fix it a little bit with the sand color, but for the most part I'm going to kind of leave it. So now I'm just going to do some white streaks in the water. Just to represent kind of waves in the water. And I like to have a lot of darks and highlights in the water. Need some more, need to thin out, add some more water to my paint, thin it out a little more. Okay, so we're almost there. I'm going to add a little bit more highlight. Some highlights right there close to the shore, like waves are kind of crashing. Okay, so there's my water. And I think it's pretty just like it is, but we're not going to leave it just like that. We're going to add a palm tree. So I'm going to switch brushes. And I'm going to go to my raw umber, which is kind of a dark brown color. And I'm going to make this palm tree is going to be superimposed in front of the horizon. So I'm going to start it down here in the sand, and I'm just going to bring it up to right there in the sky. And now I'm going to go back and just keep filling it in with the brown. I want to make, of course, the trunk of the tree a little bit wider than the top of the tree. Now, ideally, you would wait for this blue to dry, because if you don't, you might get some blending where you don't want blending. But for the purposes of this video, I'm just going to show you how to do it all in one step, in one take. Okay, so I did that. Now I'm going to take a little bit of white and some more yellow ochre, And I'm going to just make some little lines in the tree to make it kind of look like a real tree. And that's about all you need. Okay, now I'm going to work on some palms for the tree. So I'm going to do Viridian, which is the green. My paint doesn't want to open. Well, here I got it. So I'm going to do two different greens. I have Viridian and I have pale green. So we're going to see how these two work together on the palm. So I'm going to start out with the darker, which is the Viridian. And it's almost a blue-green. And I'm just going to draw some lines. And these are going to be the start of our palms. Okay, so there's the start of our palms. Now I'm going to do little short strokes that represent the palm fronds. And I'm going to switch to, I think, a thinner brush, more delicate brush, to do these little palm fronds. And just make them flare out away from that center line. If it's not making a good dark enough line for you, you can just go back over it. And you may have to wait until it dries a little more. And you can add more. And I'll do that on every one of them. And then we'll add, I'll give them the palms even a little bit more depth. And for this, actually, you probably don't want to thin out your paint too much because it's not going to show up very well if you thin it out too much. Okay, so I did all of that in the Viridian. Now I'm going to go over it with the pale green. I'm just adding another green to give it some depth. And I'm loading my brush up pretty amply with the paint. Is amply a word? I don't know. It sounded right when I said it, and then I wondered. You know, I'm an artist, I'm not a scholar. Alright, so I'm just adding that color to the palm tree. It doesn't have to be, this is a beach bag, it doesn't have to be your finest work of art. But you want to do a good job on it, and you want to be proud of it and tell people, hey, I painted my own beach bag. And every time you go to the beach, you're going to think about how fun it was painting your beach bag. Now, okay, so I did the 2 greens. Now I'm going to go back into my yellow ochre and just add a few little touches here and there on the green. The yellow goes nicely with the green. Just here and there, little bitty touches of yellow, just to give it a little, make it a little sun-kissed. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clean my brush. I'm going to go back into my the raw umber, and I'm going to make some coconuts. So I'm just going to do 3 big balls right at the top, the base of all the palm leaves. Just 3 nice sized balls. And there you go. There you have your 3 coconuts. Now I'm going to do a beach chair. And for the beach chair, I'm going to do 2 lines kind of at a diagonal, very parallel to each other. And I'm using the Viridian again to represent a wood frame. And now I'm going to do kind of in the opposite direction, a straight line going up and 1 little line coming down, and that is the structure of your beach chair. Here's your cross leg. So that's the structure of your beach chair. Now I'm going to use some crimson red. I'm going to use some crimson red, and I think probably maybe I'll try some stripes and see if that looks like it's going to work. So now I'll make the structure of it. And fill in the body of the beach chair. Alright, and there's your beach chair. Now I think just for fun I might try to make some white stripes. So let's see if that will work. If it doesn't work, I'll just blend it all back in. It's kind of blending because the paint is still wet, but you can see that if you let it dry, it would not be difficult to paint these white stripes. And there you have it. There is my painted beach bag. So this is CajunDIYDiva. If you like this video and you'd like to see more, please comment, like, subscribe, and share. And I'll see you next time. Toodaloo!